Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is a call to order. We want to start our first virtual meeting from the West Kingstown constituency, and we want to start by introducing Mr. Shanti Prince to lead us in a word of prayer.
Good night. Close your eyes and bow your heads for me, please. Heavenly Father, I give you thanks and praise for bringing everybody here tonight. And those who aren't here, I wanted to hasten their footsteps. Father, I bring before you our representative, Mr. Daniel Cummins. I wanted to continue guide and bless him with all his good works that he's been doing in West Kingstown and as the Shadow Minister of Health. I wanted to bless our other speakers and put guidance and knowledge in their speeches. I wanted to bless all of West Kingstown and the surrounding areas. In your blessed and holy name, amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Prince. Thank you. Thank you for these words. At this point, I would like to start the ball rolling by giving a few words. Member of Parliament, Mr. Daniel Cummins, Mr. Tyrone James, General Secretary of the New Democratic Party, Ms. Lavon King, PRO of the NDP, platform colleagues from West Kingstown, listeners on Nice Radio, viewers on Facebook, people in the diaspora, NDP supporters wherever you are, undecided voters, ULP voters, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this, our first virtual village meeting. We from the West Kingstown constituency had started sometime late last year on a program of village meetings. At that point, we intended to touch every nook and cranny in our approach to carry the message of hope, the message of change. And I hope tonight that with the speakers we have and the platform we have and the messages, that at the end of the day, we would be able to have you make a choice on the way forward for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to get the ball rolling by calling our first speaker, who is the deputy chairman of the Young Dems group from West Kingstown. He is no other than Shaquille Lewis. Ladies and gentlemen, Shaquille Lewis.
Good night, good night. A special good night to the people of West Kingstown, those who are viewing, and those in the diaspora. I have been asked to open the baton for tonight's meeting, but all I can say is that there is no Christmas in July. Every day will be Christmas with Dr. Friday. So I am here tonight to speak to the young people between 18 to 35. The vital age, the future generation for today and tomorrow. Now, some people may ask me, or some persons may tell me, why am I involved in politics? I'm too young for politics, and I must leave politics for politicians. But in today's day and age, we cannot sit down and wait on Dr. Friday, Mr. Cummings, Major Sinclair Leacock, nor the members of the New Democratic Party. As young people, we need to stand up and also take a stand in this country. We cannot be sponges and just sit down and just soaking up exactly what is going on and not let our voices be heard. Because as young people, there are many issues that we as young people face in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The other side wants to paint the picture that it is all good, but we know it is not good when we look at the state of our economy in St. Vincent. Isn't it the same IMF who said that the unemployment rate of St. Vincent and the Grenadines among young people is 46%? Well, they say it's 46%, but I would say it's probably 64 or maybe even 80%. This government cannot be trusted. They have been giving us promises, empty promises. It's only around election time is when they seem to remember the youth. But I want to tell the youth in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have had enough and we will not, I repeat, we will not be bamboozled anymore by this illegitimate regime. When we look at the unemployed, there are many persons who went to school and can't get jobs in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But yet, there are party loyalists who pass retirement age, who sit on boards and have 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6 contracts and positions that young people could hold in today's society. But yet, they love us. Now, I am here to tell you that there is hope in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Then we have 2 political parties who are vying for the leadership of this country. But when we sit down and look at the other side, and if we are to give the other side a grade, I would have to give them F, because they have not done nothing to improve the life of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It is more about personal gains. When you sit down and you also look at the working population in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we want to know if there is is there a family dynasty. The son was crown counsel, yet the man said he didn't know anything. The daughter is at the United Nations. It is only one set of persons are eating in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So young people, get up and stand up and let our voices be heard. I will encourage those young people who have not registered, please go and register. Please go and register, because if you do not register, you don't and vote, you don't have a voice in St. Vincent. So when the election is called, young people, I urge you to go out and register and vote. We have had enough of this administration, empty promises, but around election time they tend to wine and dine us, bringing in foreign artists with taxpayers' money that could be used to employ 2, 3, 5, 6, maybe all of the young people in today's society. If we look at the population of St. Vincent, majority of the populace are young people. We are the future. And we need to stand up and let our voices be heard. Because if we don't speak out, as I said earlier, we cannot rely on the New Democratic Party alone. We have to let our voices be heard. Stand up, stand up, stand up and let this government know that we had had enough and it's time for you to pack your bags and go. Give the reins of government to the party who really know how to govern this country and who will lead us into the 21st century, not only for my generation, but your future generation. So I urge you, when the election is called, there is only one choice, one clear party that will lead St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the New Democratic Party. I don't know about you, but when the elections is called, my vote belongs to the New Democratic Party. Mr. Cummings and our leader, Dr. Friday, will surely take us into the 21st century. The New Democratic Party have policies cater for every young person in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So as I told you before, there is hope, and every day will be Christmas with Dr. Friday. Vote Dr. Friday. Vote the New Democratic Party. And I thank you.
Thank you, Shaquille, for such a passionate delivery. That's the voice of the youth for you. Thank you, Shaquille. DJ. Crystalline. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are in tough times. We are in tough times, there's no doubt. And the country is ripe for change. I want at this point, to continue with the program and bring on a champion. From time to time you would have seen this man. He's a very special person when it comes to patriotism. Yes, sir. From a youth, I remember as a youth going to school, I had cause to see this man demonstrating on behalf of St. Vincent and the Grenadines way back. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I want to bring no other than Robert Patches Knights.
Yeah, thank you, Abby. Good night, everybody, all the people in the hall here, and the people of West Kingstown, and the wider population, and of course, all the soldiers and warriors in what we now call the diaspora. Let me just say good night to all of you. I want to tonight talk about two issues: nepotism and cronyism. Because of the subject matter, Mr. Cummings would prefer not to mention certain people's names, but I think it might be unavoidable because I want to show in our country where people are getting unfair advantages over people who, in many of our estimation, is far more equipped and qualified for certain positions. Now, nepotism is a practice of powerful people with authority, to give unfair advantages, privileges, and opportunity to their children, their siblings, and their extended families, to the detriment of people who, as I said before, are more qualified. Now, here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the man that we know as the Prime Minister, illegitimate as many of us think he is, based on the fact that the election has not really been concluded, The man who today is recognized as the Prime Minister of SBG, he is the Minister of National Security. He's also the Minister of Legal Affairs. National security means that he has influence over our local police and any kind of military forces we have in the country, whether it's auxiliary, black squad, green squad, whatever, the SSU. He has influence over that group. He also has influence in the judiciary because he's Minister of Legal Affairs. No one could doubt that a magistrate or a judge cannot be appointed without the approval of that man. It cannot happen. I'm saying all of this to introduce to you the reason why I'm talking about nepotism and how it is serious in our country. The man that you know as Prime Minister has a son who is now the Minister of Finance. He was first made a Crown Counsel in the same government. A Crown Counsel is employed by the state, of which this man is the Prime Minister, and a Crown Counsel cannot be appointed without the approval of this man that we call the Prime Minister. He was later elevated to work as a councillor in New York City, representing St. Vincent the Grenadines, again, another government job. That man today is the Minister of Finance. He's the one who deals with the purse string of St. Vincent the Grenadines. In other words, he deals with whatever monies that St. Vincent the Grenadines has because he's the Minister of Finance. Incidentally, that man's wife is a Crown Counsel also, another government job. Now I talk about the father, the son, now the son's wife. At one point, she was appointed as acting director of the Financial Service Authority. That is to do with money laundering and all that kind of crap. And he, being the Minister of Finance, the father being the Minister of Legal Affairs, Minister of National Security. I'm trying to make the connection. Now, all this, we're talking about family. This is father, son, daughter-in-law. Now, that same man has another daughter who is working again with the government in New York City. She is a member of the Diplomatic Corps, another government job. She is working at the UN. Now, this is 4 family members. 4 family. Let's not take these things for granted. This family, like I said, which is practicing seriously nepotism, has a cousin who has one of the most prominent portfolio. He is the Minister of Works. He was never elected, but he has one of the most powerful ministries. That's a cousin. No, that is 5 family members. 5 family members. Are you telling me in St. Vincent the Grenadines there's no persons who qualified enough to occupy those positions? I want to move on now to what we see happening in other areas of this St. Vincent the Grenadines hierarchy. A bit of cronyism. The man who is the Minister of Health has a sister who is a doctor. She's the Minister of Health. She is the wife of the Minister of Agriculture. To make the connection. Now, in this scenario where we have all these connections, we also have what we call the CMO, the Chief Medical Officer. She is married to a past Minister of the ULP government, and he's also the son of one of the more prominent members of the ULP, deceased now. He is the husband of the CMO. The CMO, nothing personal, I'm just stating the fact, has a sister who has been appointed as ambassador to Taiwan. You see the tie-in there. Now it's about 10 people or 12 people who are controlling tourism, agriculture, finance, security, influencing judiciary, also health and agriculture. So where we are today is a very pivotal place, because it is telling us that these people who are occupying these so important positions are given the impression that they are the smartest, the most intelligent, the most savvy people in the country to run the affairs of this country. But it's only, like I said, it's only nepotism and cronyism. One set of people is controlling this country. The vital aspect of this country are in the hands of these people. And my time is almost due. So I just want us to go and examine these things to find out who is the cousin, who is the son, who is the daughter-in-law, who is the daughter who is working in New York City, the father who is supposed to be the prime minister, although many of us know he's illegitimate. And we must understand the connection in health, in agriculture, in tourism. We're in serious problems. Ladies and gentlemen, I want we to be serious with what we are doing in this country, and do not allow people like these to control our lives, because it has nothing to do with intelligence and qualification, because there are a lot of people who could do this job. Have a good night.
Thank you, Patches. Now the question is, all right. The question is, how do we combat something like what Patches has just said? When you look around, there was the talk of own the party, own the jobs. And when you look around and you see the distribution of jobs and things, it's clear for all to see that in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it's one set of people who are eating bread. And it's been a long time now. How do you combat that? The only way you could combat that is through change. And how do you make the change? At the polls. Ladies and gentlemen, that is why we are here, to implore you and beg you that enough is enough and time for us to do the right thing. At this point, I want to move on with the program. And we have a young lady here. She is the PRO of the NDP. Let's welcome Lavon King to give us a few words.
Good evening everyone. I want to thank those of us who have tuned in this evening. And if you notice, the song started by saying, I got a dream last night, and the dream tell me things are going to change. Friends, I'm here this evening to give you good news. I'm here to tell you about change and good news. What are the things I'm going to tell you about? Change and good news. You know, one of the things that troubles me as a youth in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is the fact that I can be qualified, that I can be competent and still disqualified for employment. Those are the type of things that cripples the dream of a young Vincentian boy. Those are the things that cripple the ambitions of a young Vincentian woman. But I'm here to tell you that with persons like Mr. Daniel Cummins and Dr. the Honorable Godwin Friday, that things will change. I'm here to say to you today that sometimes when I listen to my friends, they say, Lavon, I want to migrate. I want to leave. There's nothing here for me. And then I listen to Dr. Friday and he says to me, I want to make St. Vincent and the Grenadines a place where youths can see themselves having a family, earning an income, staying here, living and raising their own kids. Now when I think about it and think about having a family and I hear something like that, it makes me want to stay. We cannot continue to have a St. Vincent and the Grenadines where the brightest of our minds decide to leave simply because being qualified and ambitious and non-affiliated disqualifies them from employment. And I'm here to say to you that the only reason, one of the main reasons why I decided to join the New Democratic Party, it is because we have a meritocracy guarantee. The NDP guarantees you meritocracy. It says that I, Lavon King, the PR of the NDP, do not have any favor over you if you are qualified more than I am. It says that if we apply for the same job when the NDP is in office, if you are qualified more than I am, in a meritocracy, you get the job. Friends, I know that may sound like a fairy tale because it is not what we're used to in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But like the song said when I started, I had a dream last night, and the dream told me that things are going to change. One of the things that really and truly gets me excited about the New Democratic Party, one of the things that I want to leave you with is something that Dr. Friday always talks about, and that is the creation of a development bank. Now, what will a development bank do for people like me and you? People who have ambitions to start our own business, people who want funding for our own businesses. It says that it is prime time that we get priority in and outside of an election year. It says to me that when a development bank is created, that in the first year of office of an NDP government, I can get access to funding for a business. In the second year of an NDP government, I can get access to funding for a business. In the third year, I can get it. In the fourth year, I can get it, because it is prime time that our youths are priority in and out of election year. And so the NDP says to me that, listen, I'm not here to clip your dreams. I'm not here to make you demotivated. I'm not here to tell you that I have to touch you in order for you to be qualified for a job. I'm here to say to you that based on a meritocracy and creating an economy that enables everyone as according to their skills, that is what will determine your employment. It is sad when I look at my neighboring islands like Grenada. Grenada was destroyed a couple years ago by Ivan, and Grenada is thriving way ahead of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It says to me that we have a dormant, lazy, ridiculous, unimaginative government in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the dream said to me last night that things are going to change. You know, one of the things that people have said to me continually is this: Lavon, I don't want to get involved because of this, and I don't want to get involved because of that. And I said to them this: the only way that evil triumphs is when good men sit back and let it happen. You and I, we are the future of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. If we sit down and allow the 75-year-olds and the 74-year-olds to continue to dictate to us what our country could be like, and if you think things are bad now, I don't want to be here for the next 5 years with this same administration. And it is because I have the audacity to dream, the audacity to believe that my country can do better, the audacity to listen to the plans of Dr. the Honorable Godwin Friday, to embrace the ideas that, listen, if I have a child in Form 5 and they want to do CXCs, they want to write 2 subjects, we'll pay for it. They want to write 5 subjects, we'll pay for it. They want to write 7, we'll pay. 14, we'll pay. Don't matter what your child wants to do, it is our responsibility as an NDP government not to hinder them, not to touch them, not to make them feel uncomfortable, not to have them on the internet as though there's some crazy person out there, but rather to create an environment where we feel as though we can dream, where we feel proud to boast about our Vincentian citizenship, where we can say to people that I live in a country where I feel free to talk my conscience. I dream of a St. Vincent and the Grenadines like that. And I say to you again that I have a dream, and the dream told me that things can and will change. But the thing about change and dreams is this: don't matter how much we dream, unless we get up and put actions, that dream will never become a reality. So it means, therefore, that I cannot only think about a better St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I have to also ensure that I make it my priority to let my dreams and my thoughts match my actions. I have a national ID card. It means that I got registered. How can you get registered? You consult with your parliamentary representative or your candidate. You go to the registration office and you say to them, I am here to get my ID. With that ID, and if you voted before, you can, once you have a piece of identification, it doesn't have to be a national ID, you're entitled to vote. You check the voters list and you go whenever the election is called. You go to the polling station and you vote for that change that you want to see. You vote because you have a dream that your country can do better. And I'm here to say to you today that Christmas will not only come one day, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, don't matter what day of the week it is, under an NDP government, with Dr. the Honorable Godwin Friday and people like Mr. Daniel Cummins, every day, any day, let them know that we will choose Friday. In fact, we dare them to call the elections. We dare them. Because there are other young people like myself who know that our country can and do better, can and will do better under an NDP government. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lavon, with that stalling contribution. I can't see how people can vote for NDP after that, Lavon. The youths have spoken. Ladies and gentlemen, there's hope for St. Vincent the Grenadines. There's hope. I want people to consider that St. Vincent was not always like this. And it must not remain like this. It must not remain like this. And citizens are to examine yourself and say, what can I do to bring change? The reason why I am here is because I think that it is time that citizens get up. We can't leave it to the politicians alone. It's time for citizens to get up and make a contribution. How do we make that contribution? We vote. We look for the party with the policies and the program and the message of change. And that party is the New Democratic Party. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I want to bring on a schoolmate of mine, former schoolmate, because we're still not in school, of mine, used to be the Coast Guard Commandant, a respectable gentleman, the General Secretary of the New Democratic Party, to give a few words. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyrone James.
Thank you very much, Mr. Master of Ceremony. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. All those listening in the diaspora. Tonight, I feel elated because when I listen to young Lavon King speaking, I know that St. Vincent has a future. I also feel elated because when I think of the promises and know that they'll be fulfilled by Dr. Godwin Friday and the New Democratic Party, I know St. Vincent's future is in good hands. Recall, in 2015, the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines lost an opportunity to develop this country. Remember, we told you that we will build a hospital, and they scoffed. Today, if we have that hospital, those 3 persons from Union will not have suffered and died. When we talk about the roads, they talk about pothole tourists. They make fun of everything in this country. They don't care about you. But you have vans falling over because they're skipping potholes with your children. And that is what we have today. But I want to tell you there's hope. There's hope in Dr. Friday and the New Democratic Party. There's hope in persons like Cummins, Leacock, and the other members of the New Democratic Party. They are hope because they care about you. Lavon spoke about the development bank. And this is critical to the development of this country. And also critical to empowering young people in this country. You have so many young people walking around begging. Young girls selling themselves. We are saying, no, that cannot continue. With a development bank, we provide the funding for you. You come out of the college, we provide the funding to start your own business. When you start your business and you employ 1 or 2 people, we build up the employment in this country. We reduce unemployment. A lot of people ask, how are you going to do it? Well, this is one of the ways we're going to do it. This is how we're going to reduce unemployment. By empowering our young people, by encouraging them to start their own businesses, by being entrepreneurs, by hiring young other persons. That is how we'll start and reduce unemployment in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now, there are a lot of things in store for you from this NDP party. Dr. Friday has told you that he will reduce VAT in electricity. Now, this impact you directly in your pockets. Because if you have to pay your $300 for electricity and you reduce VAT, imagine you paying $200, now that's $100 saved or more. You know what you can do with that? You can buy medicine for your children. You can say them go on a vacation. How often can persons work with the government get up and go on a vacation without putting themselves in debt? Well, Dr. Friday says he can assist you in these things by reducing VAT on electricity. Lavin also spoke about paying for C-Sec and other subjects. Can you imagine that? You have your child, so many people walk around with little paper, begging here, give me $10 here, give me $5, barbecue, raffle to send their children to do exams. We're saying we're going to reduce that burden from you. We'll be paying our C-Sec and CAPE subjects. All. As Lavon said, they come with 10, you're gone. You turn with 5, 15, 20, you're gone with it. No more barbecue. You're doing barbecue, enjoy it in your backyard. Not barbecue, send your children for do exams. Come on. We have to put pride back in our people. We have so much pride before. Where is it? Under this government, we have been made into beggars, and we have got to change that. On the development bank, your study loan will the interest on your loan will reduce to about 4%. You will not have to pay while you're studying. Now look at the burden on students who are studying presently and have to pay interest on their loans. They're not working. So who does that? The burden now goes to the parents. They have to mortgage the house. And if they can't pay for that, then they lose everything in order to have their children to improve their lives. That should not be. Dr. Friday and the New Democratic Party is saying we will change that for you. We'll take that burden away from you. For those persons who love to get involved in agriculture and fisheries, we are saying we'll create a Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Conservation. Now, when you combine the Development Bank and your fisheries project, you're not going out of subsistence fishing. You're not driving out with 20 gallons of gas, come back before 5 o'clock because you have to sell your fish, you get 2 to cook and so on. No! Fishing will be a business. Not these kind of boats that these people are saying that they're going to buy. The same pirogues that we have right now. That can't develop fishing. That's subsistence fishing. We have to move away from that. We have to get the equipment, the boats that can go out there for a week. Let's get with it. We say we'll change that. We'll change that for you. And I tell you, with that alone, you know how much jobs that can create? Because this party, our prime objective is jobs. Jobs for the people, jobs for the youth, jobs for the female. But don't even talk about jobs for the female. Because so many of our females have been compromised just to get a job. That should not be. You must get a job and keep integrity. And Dr. Friday, a man who I trust, is saying that he will change that for you. You young ladies out there, we are saying we will protect you. We will ensure that your development, you need not compromise your integrity to develop in this country. Now, for you young persons out there, coming from college, some of you are here, some of you talking about the card as the old man card, the old people card and so on. I'm telling you, you have to get involved to ensure your future. Go and get registered. Get your ID cards. If you want assistance in filling out getting a birth certificate, signing the forms and so on, we can help. I am the General Secretary. Come down here, man, I'll get somebody to sign the form for you. I will get somebody to sign the form for you. You come down here and see me. Ensure that you take a stand in your future. And by taking a stand in your future, it means you must vote for the right party. And the right party is the New Democratic Party led by Dr. Godwin Friday. So once again, let me encourage you. Do the right thing. Make the right decision. Get registered. And get prepared to vote for the New Democratic Party. Lavon put out a call. Well, I'm putting out one too. I'm saying, if you're bad, call election tomorrow. Yeah. If you're so bad, with all the prime thing or whatever, with the little boat and the other thing, with your falsifying your agricultural program and so on, call election tomorrow and let me see who bad. You will feel the heat of Dr. Friday. Thank you very much. Give me a song, man.
Thank you, Mr. General Secretary. Very fiery, very fiery. DJ, could you give us a... Yes, that was very passionate there from Tyrone. And Tyrone knows what he's talking about, how the pirogues, etc., etc. Give us a little music there, DJ. Give me some Get Rid of Them. Give me some music. Give me some music. No music? Like I got to sing a song, boy. Like I got to sing a song, eh? Like I got to sing Borrow a Brain. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyrone talk. Oh, okay. All right, so the music is... Okay, DJ. Thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point we want to keep the program flowing. And for many years, many of you would have been listening to radio and hearing a health personality bringing all the health issues, etc. on mornings and so on, giving you little stories on health and so on. He is well trained in that field. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to speak to you at this point, no other than Harvey Farrell.
NDP family, good night. It is indeed a pleasure for me to be sharing the evening with you. I know my colleagues always wish that I can speak on health. This evening, however, I may take a slight departure. But mind you, health has to be in there somewhere. I know that this is a West Kingstown meeting. However, this evening, my departure will be slightly towards the Grenadines, both northern and southern Grenadines. And in this brief presentation, I will show you some of the pains and the suffering of the people of the Grenadines. Mind you, folks on the mainland may not understand some of these, but who feels it knows it. But you know what is worse? With this administration in office for 20 years, what has happened is that the pains in the Grenadines have gotten exponentially worse. I want first to look at healthcare. We have just lost 3 citizens, very fresh in our memories, from an unfortunate incident that took place in Union Island. And mind you, this perhaps may not have happened had we taken the time, had this administration taken the time to pay the attention to the Grenadines as it should. We are not asking for utopia, but at least we want to be living like civilized people in a 21st century. That incident that happened, that eventually claimed the lives of these 3 citizens, unfortunately 2 young people and a senior citizen. Could you imagine that in this day and age, we are having a gas station operating under the conditions that gas station was operating under in today's day and age, in the center of a commercial area? We are having all storage above ground. That was just an accident waiting to happen. But what is worse is that the health service was not adequate to back it up. Far worse, the response. Thank God for the citizens of Union Island who was able to assist the medical team. You just have to go to Eyewitness News and read the accounts. Mind you, if we had better health facilities and far better arrangement, perhaps those citizens might have been around with us today. But what we have, according to just another look, little boy Blue, whenever we see him, it is only to accept gifts on behalf of the Ministry of Health. That's what we have to pass as a minister. The time when he's loudest is just to accept gifts. Is that what we want? Is that what we want? For the last election, the NDP and our representative, Mr. Daniel Cummins, unveiled a magnificent plan to build a modern health center a modern health facility in this country. Not one that took 11 years to build and still we cannot find the proper use for. We were talking quality. You said it was Farmville. But we have people who cannot access good medical care. While I talk about what happened in Union Island and that incident in terms of the poor health care that we have, we also had an issue sometime last year with another member from the Grenadines who had to be rushed up here for emergency health care, and he was left lying on the wall for over an hour at the airport. Now, why must we go through these things? Water. We know that we are going through a drought. After 20 years, you mean this administration could not have done anything to ease the burden of the people in the Grenadines when it comes to water? But what we saw happening here, as Margaret London will say, the man we have over here, he went after Grenada had closed its borders and offered the citizens of Carriacou and Petit Martinique to come to Union Island for cooking gas. Just imagine how ironic. And the people from the Grenadines have been crying out for water, and not a thing we heard except to say this: the one day that CWSA sent a token truck to Beckway, what was his herald? Because Dr. Friday had a presence there. What was his herald? Lorraine didn't have nothing to do with the water. It's God Sanders. Is that what we want for representation? Does that sound prime ministerial? Let me hear you. Whether or not you are from the Grenadines or the mainland, does that sound prime ministerial? But that's what we have passing for prime ministership. Come on. The other thing in the Grenadines is the general infrastructure. Since this administration took office, it hasn't built a single piece of road in the Grenadines. Not a single piece. Or, should I say, it built roads in Beckway. But hear what? The roads that they built in Beckway, the lands are being quoted in US prices. So the ordinary citizens who pay their taxes every day, we can't drive at that. We cannot purchase lands there. The lands are quoted in US prices. And you just have to listen to the National Properties ad on Radio 705 if you think I'm lying. Is that what we want? But here, what is worse? Last year, this administration started to cut off people in the Grenadines electricity for not paying an environmental tax on solid waste. I am saying that was an unconscionable act, because already life for people in the Grenadines is 3 times and 4 times more difficult than for people on mainland. A young person who is going to build a house anywhere in the Grenadines will have to pay 3 and 4 times for the same size house on the mainland. The first thing is the land is more expensive. Then you have to build a tank. In today's day and age, we still have to go and build individual tanks. The government should have been looking for ways in which they could ease those people's burden. But for $5, $5, you've been cutting off people electricity. And you tell me that this is a government that cares. This is a government that cares. Huh? Now, Lavon mentioned the development bank. Not the development bank. And she said, what? This is 20,000, 2020, 2021, 2021. You start to count the numbers as they go. The development bank will be there. It will not be prime to give you a one-off, to give you a lump sum of money in your hand, a half a day to coach you, to make you a businessman or a businesswoman, half a day, and then leave you. But what is even more critical, if you are going to assist people with financing now to open or to create business, in this COVID time that we are living in, it is even more important. It is even more important that you coach the people well. Hold their hand. Make sure that you are there with them. Well, you going to give them money and call them in half day? We need more than that. We need more than that. Are we going to have prime in 2021? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. We must ask ourselves that question. Okay? Very important. These things are very, very important. Okay? We have to look at them. And I am appealing to all the young persons who are now coming of age. All you young people who are now coming of age. Get registered. You deserve much better than what we have now. Talk to your parents. Talk to your grandparents and ask them what it was like. Today, a citizen is labeled unpatriotic simply because he said, I don't think what is happening here is the right thing. You are being unpatriotic. But let me tell you, do not, young people, do not allow anybody from any political party to box you in. God has given you an intellect. Use it to think for yourself. And not because you are given a scholarship or anything like that, that you owe anybody anything. You don't owe anybody anything. And let me tell you something. Scholarship didn't just come around. I got a scholarship when I was a young man. And you know what? I didn't have to wonder whether or not I will get a job when I came back from studying in Barbados. I didn't have to wonder. I walked straight into a job. Today, I have to wonder when my children come back from studying whether or not they will get a job here in St. Vincent. My parents didn't have to wonder that about me. So don't make them tell you that scholarships just started. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. I am already 50 and I got one. So don't come and tell me that nonsense. Do not make them fool you. Tonight and this year is the year for you as young people. particularly you first-time voters, this is your critical year. Make it count. Vote VNDP!
Wow! Wow! Yes, Avi. If tomorrow was election, I am sure after that speech, people would be rushing to go to the polls. Well done, Harvey. Ladies and gentlemen, the choice is clear. In this election, we have to look at leadership. Are we going to go with what we have for another 5 years? Or are we going to try fresh legs? We have a leader in Dr. Friday who is fitter to lead by far. Fitter and better to lead by far. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it is time to give the new Democratic Party a try. At this point, is it clear? Okay, okay, DJ, get some music there. Get some music, DJ. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we are moving on with the program. We are flowing smoothly. And I grew up in West Kingstown all my life. I grew up in West Kingstown all my life. I have known, as far as when I started to follow politics, I remember Hudson Tannis as the representative vaguely. Then, after Hudson Tannis, there was a champion representative, Mr. John Hahn. And I got interested in politics in a very intimate way from talking to John Hahn. You know, John Hahn would come and have conversation with me and etc., and I was encouraged to get into politics. Ladies and gentlemen, the successor of Mr. Hahn is the member for West Kingstown, Mr. Daniel Cummins, and I want to welcome him to come to the podium to give you the message from West Kingstown. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Daniel Cummins.
Let that song play, man. Yes, indeed. No matter what. SVG, I love you. Good night, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Good night, West Kingstown. And to all who are viewing and listening to us wherever you are in the world, I must say, it is a rather strange phenomenon for me to be looking at a blank screen instead of looking out at a crowd and addressing you and getting your reaction live. But we are living in difficult times. We are living in times when the world is turned upside down. Nonetheless, we in the New Democratic Party understand the importance of the process that must take place in this year. An opportunity for us to elect a real government in this country. An opportunity to put a team of people with a heart and a vision for the betterment of all of the people of our blessed land. And so tonight, I want to thank the team from West Kingstown, with our Chairman Abbey, former Chairman Patches, Harvey Farrell, our Young Dems representative, Asha, who did the prayer for us, and the two stalwarts from the Secretariat in our PRO and our GenSec, all who have come before me and done such a marvelous job. Tonight, I want to speak specifically to the folks in West Kingstown. But of course, what I have to say has implication for the entire St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I want to thank Harvey Farrell in particular for bringing to the fore issues that are germane to us as a people. After all, we are St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Grenadines is not an unwanted appendix. The Grenadines is a critical component of our multi-island state. The most beautiful component, the most productive component in terms of tourism. And so they must get their fair share. Tonight, folks, I also want to thank Chairman Abbey for reminding us of the magnificent service delivered by the late John Clark Horn. I have the distinct honor and privilege to follow in his footsteps. A few days ago, on the 22nd, would have been his birthday. And I tell you, up to today, as I go through the constituency of West Kingstown, the love that people in West Kingstown still have for this great man is indicative of the honest, straightforward approach he had towards politics and towards people. Thank you, John Horn. May you continue to rest in peace. You have done a tremendous job. Folks, tonight I want to touch, as I said, on some matters pertaining to West Kingstown. But I come here with a strange feeling. As always, before I speak in public, I do a quiet, humble reflection, and I ask for guidance. ask myself, why is it necessary for any party to come to a people such as ours, who have been so traumatized, brutalized, vandalized, cursed by an illegitimate, rogue, corrupt government led by Ralph Gonsalves? Why is it necessary for us to explain why we must get rid of these rogues? I want to thank Laverne for helping me to understand how the critical mass of young people are thinking. You see, my dear listeners and viewers, for me, whose life has been committed to the cause of justice and fair play and equality, it comes naturally. And I always have to remind us as a people of why the CWSA is where it is today, despite 20 years of ULP. Its foundations are built on honesty, integrity. Its staff has been trained in the principles of equality, and those are dear to their heart, and they continue to exhibit them up to today in the main. We know what can happen when an institution is told to buy all your stuff from a particular firm, even though you can get those materials much cheaper from several other places. We know what that does to a business when you're not allowed to hire the right person with the right qualification because their politics don't please some people. We know the dangers of that. We have seen how the public service has been brutalized. We have so many examples of people. Thank goodness some of them have the courage to go before the court to seek justice. People like Otto Sam and the 3 teachers, etc. Who up to today have not been paid their dues, although the courts ordered the government to do it. Folks, things that we take for granted as a peace-loving, democratic society, we must remember that this is a dictatorship. That only one set of family must eat the food. That no matter how good you are in this country, if you don't sport red, you're dead. You know that. You have seen it. You're feeling it. I want to say to the young people, when the new Democratic Party, led by Dr. Friday, talks about meritocracy, you have to remember the life of Arnhem Eustace, what he stood for and stands for today. You have to remember how, as the youngest permanent secretary, he resigned his job on principle. Those are what good men are made of. Those are the qualities. Dr. Godwin Friday is not the rambunctious, loud, arrogant, worthless leader. But Dr. Friday is a man of integrity, of impeccable character, a man who is very solid in his educational and practical training, a man who is extremely sincere, a man who acts on principle, and most importantly, does not allow party politics to stop him from doing what is right and proper. So, young people, I want you to understand that for us in the New Democratic Party, when we talk, we mean what we say because we live it. For those of you who are watching and listening overseas, you have families here. They're suffering, but they're afraid to come out and identify. I want you to talk to them. I want you to help them to understand that they don't have to put on a yellow shirt. I want you to say to them that they don't have to be associated with any political party. But there are two things they must do. They must make sure they are registered to vote. And on election day, they must go and vote their conscience so that their future can be guaranteed. That is where it's at. You know, I don't want to tell you about the ills of this society. I am charged with shadowing health, among other things. And I've said before, I'll say it again, it makes me feel very, very sick to talk about health care. Because we have a sick regime that makes a joke out of people's health. There are so many things going wrong. I don't want to talk about them. What I want to talk to you tonight about is what the New Democratic Party government will do in the area of health care. We will turn it around. We will make it work for you. Through the National Health Insurance Scheme, you won't have to go up the complex and beg anybody for assistance. With the resources that we spend now in healthcare, with the competent professionals that we have in the ministry, working in an environment where the best person is given the job, not because they are a family political, but because they are the best person, he or she is the best person, period, to take a position. That will make the difference. And further, everyone will be held accountable for the responsibility that is laid before you. Those are the basic principles that will ensure we will work closely with the private sector and regional and international organizations to bring the best practices into healthcare. One simple example is the main hospital. Why should you as a patient suffer because your personal physician or your personal surgeon is not allowed to operate in the one hospital in this country? That must go. That must go. We must have the facilities available to all under very clear terms and conditions. You don't have to have no friend with the Minister of Health. You don't have to have any family connection with anybody. We must use our resources in the best interest of all the people of our country, regardless of your politics. You know, when we began these village meetings, I said to my people in West Kingstown in the various communities that for me, this is a conversation that I treasure. A unique opportunity for me to come where you are living, to speak with you and to hear from you about what directly impacts you. Tonight, we can reach you only through this medium. Who knows what tomorrow holds? I want to promise the people of West Kingstown that you'll be seeing a lot more of me. For me, it's not just a matter of visiting you to say I visit you. It's a matter of knowing what is happening in your life, how your children are making it, how you're planning to get your kids out of school, what is the employment situation. I know there are myriads of issues. I don't want to talk to you about the fact that they start over a year ago to build a road going into the retaining wall for the road past hospital going into Edinburgh. Brothers and sisters, that road could have been finished in 6 weeks, over a year, and that road is still hazardous. And the NDP government is not going to function like that. When we give out contracts for works, we give them out when we have money to pay. We're not going to give out contracts and no, we can't pay the contractor. We're not going to do that. Or worse, we're not going to take the money that should go to the contractor and spend it for something else. NDP not going to do that. Your interest must come first. That road is a hazard, but it's not that only. Throughout this country, they've started 1 million set of roads, piece here, piece there. And after 3 months, they go back and have to dig dirt off the steel and have to take out stuff and start over again. You ask yourself, how are they going to account for the rail funds? What is going on? Where are the promises about fixing our roads? How come our roads are still in the worst condition ever, despite all of the pledges? Do you remember how many hundreds of millions they put in the capital estimates earlier this year? And they say they have the money. Do you know how many additional $1 million they've gotten from COVID? It's nearly $100 million from different agencies. We will deal with that on another forum. But where is this money going? How come no road work's taking place? How come your vehicles still mashing up left, right, and center? I will tell you how come, and watch and see. You will not see any progress on these projects until we are near to the election date. Because that is the methodology. They want to mamagay you. Do you want a situation where every month in every year you can go to your representative and get some assistance? Where every month and every year there's road work going on, there's development going on? Or do you want to get a little bribe every 5 years and suffer in the interim? My dear people, you've had enough of that. The New Democratic Party is not about mamagaying you. The Otley Hall project will create quality employment opportunities for young people and not so young people. That brilliant project that Sir James Mitchell had the vision to implement, that had its problems. But that project was so good that the people in Trinidad came here and couldn't believe their eyes. They went back and built one modeled exactly off of that at Chagaramas. And today, that facility employs hundreds of people in Trinidad, and the yachts are going down there to get service. What should be done here? Because this rogue regime, because that's an NDP project, they killed it. Mind you, they spend millions of dollars trying to tear down Sir James. that the Privy Council had to clear his name when they knew who the culprit was. They knew exactly what the situation was. But that's their form of politics. Play games with people's lives. A New Democratic Party will restore the whole project. We will restore it. And bear in mind that that project was not just about the shipyard. It was to put a small hotel there so that the yachties, while the ships are being repaired, could stay there. It had provisions for meeting rooms and conference center. It had provision for world-class supermarkets and restaurants. Hundreds of people could have been employed and will be employed when NDP get back into government. That project will come alive again. West Kingstown people, I'm not about promises. I'm about reality. I want to challenge you to understand that the road, the important link road between Edinburgh, Otley Hall, Lomans, and Camden Park is priority number one when Daniel Cummins gets into government after this election. That will be done because everybody understands how important that is. Not just to the people who live in that area, but everybody who lives on the entire leeward coast. We know how difficult it is when you have one road. Imagine you come from Chateau into town, and you have one single road all the way up, and if something happens, you're stuck. And the NDP government is not just going to build that bypass road, but Patel and Ben and Nature are going to combine with other roads that would give you different possibilities on the leeward side of the island. That is what we're about, because we understand the importance. Let me tell you something, Those link roads that you hear Nature talking about, and Patel talking about, and Ben talking about, they're not just roads. Quite apart from giving you an easier journey to North Leeward, they will open up lands for development in agriculture, in housing, in industry. That is what that is going to do. Beautiful lands in those areas. But you need a vision, and you need people who care. And an NDP administration will deliver that to you. Lavon talked about and I believe the GenSec, about the National Development Bank. My dear people, listen to me. Through the Citizens My Investment Program, funding will be available through the National Development Bank. Not just for soft loans, but also for grant money for people who want seriously to develop themselves. An NDP government is not just going to take money and throw it after you just before an election. We will work with you and provide you with technical assistance so that you can be on the right path. We will hold your hand and make sure that you get the support necessary to make your venture successful. And we will do this year in, year out, election or no election, because we are about people. We ain't priming you up just before the election and then drop you like hot coals after that. We want to work seriously with you. Why they couldn't think about this for the last 19 years? Because election now. What they have done for 19 years is not some record that they can boast on. So they come up with these cockamamie things to fool you, to offer you this, to offer you that, with no care, with no love. Well, if they have a love, a Hannah Green banana is their love. What a sad state. Listen, I want to tell you all something about this water situation. We here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are in the midst of a very dry season. It's part of the regional development. But I want to tell you all something. It has been a long time that there's a proposal, a very sensible proposal, to make sure, dry season or no dry season, we can have a continuous supply of water. But I want to tell you that the CWSA over the last 10 years or so has reduced its capital expenditure to almost zilch, just so that they look good on the books. They have not been investing in plants. They have not been investing in transmission mains. We have surface water that is limited. That is water in the streams. In the dry season, it's limited. But we have an abundant supply of groundwater in the Rabakai area at relatively low depth. All the CWSA has to do is to drill a well. And I ain't talking about that. That's another tip for that. But a simple well, relatively shallow, pump the water up. Very little treatment, perhaps aeration, and pump it into the system. You have the system linked from Georgetown, and ideally they should have it linked all the way back on the leeward side. So that during the dry season, there's no reason to be telling people you're only supplying 50%. You have the resource here. St. Vincent mainland, when it comes to water, does not have a deficit. We always have more water than we need on mainland St. Vincent. Fact. But they don't care. And in the Grenadines, we left plans there to put water, public water supply on all the main islands. Listen to me. When they want to tell Grenadians to come to Union Island for what, God knows. The Grenadines all have public water supply systems. Proper water supply systems of desalination using the sun power. Very good systems. People have pipe water to their homes. You want to tell me in this day and age, you have thousands of people living down there, thousands of guests coming, and you cannot put in a proper water supply system for your main tourist destination. And NDP administration will address this and address this properly. We have a commitment from Dr. Friday and Terence and all of us in the New Democratic Party that the Grenadines will never have to suffer for water again under an NDP administration. We will correct that wrong. So my brothers and sisters, this is a new start for us. We're going to continue. We're going to continue coming to you in whatever form or fashion we could. They want to tell you that they're going to build a port in Kingstown. At another forum, at another time, I will reveal some of the lies. I just want to remind you that as your representative, I went before the Parliament and asked he who calls himself Prime Minister, to allow me as your representative to see the documents related to this project. Up to today, I have not seen a single document from this government. Not the environmental impact study, not the proposals, not the designs, not the layout, not what they're going to do for the people they are going to replace. But I will say this to the people of Rose Place: a promise is comfort to a fool. Look at the practice of this rogue regime when it comes to the people whose land was taken for the Argyle Airport. Ask yourself how many of them up to today have not been paid for their lands. Ask them. And these are not people like you who live on the bay. These are people generally who are better off, but it's their property and they can't get paid. You who live on the sand, literally, you who eke out a living from day to day by raking and scraping, they already have a list of those who they favor, who they want to move. But I want to tell them this: it will be hell if my people don't get justice. All who qualify must be compensated, Ralph Gonsalves. I promise I wasn't going to call your name, but I'm telling you, you won't like to have to deal with Daniel Cummins. If my people, all my people in Rose Place don't get a just due. If you think you can come in and divide and conquer and give some and leave out some, you have another thing coming for you. You think pelting stone is bad? Try provoking me. Try provoking me. When it comes to the right of my people, no stone will be left unturned. No stone will be left unturned, and if necessary, it will be used properly. My people will get justice. You can't do that. It's not your money, it's the people's money. You're illegally occupying the office. But the thing is, you won't be there to do that project, you know. You won't be there. But if you're going to pay anybody to get them moved, in the meantime, make sure everybody get their justice. Folks, I want to thank you all for listening to us tonight. I am energized. We have been the NDP for nearly 20 years in the wilderness. And I'm used to started by rebuilding this party and bringing in a team of competent men and women with a cause and a passion. Dr. Friday has taken the baton and he's continued in the same vein. I am honored to be part of this team. I'm looking forward to the day very soon, when we can move St. Vincent together positively forward. All of us, regardless of our politics, because that is what we are about. Together, we achieve. Together, we aspire. And when Dr. Friday says, one nation, one people, one Vinci, SVG, it is not an accident. It is real. It is heartfelt. I am delighted to be part of that, and I encourage you, join the NDP. You used to support the rogues. You've seen their biting. You've seen how the dogs bite. Join the real team, the new team, the love team, Dr. Friday's team, and let's move St. Vincent forward together. Thank you. God bless. Good night.
Wow. Thank you, Mr. Daniel Waterman Cummins. That was a very passionate.
Thank you.
That is Cummins at his best. That is Daniel at his best. Folks, I want to use this opportunity to wrap up this program with a few words in passing. And in doing so, I want to take you a little bit down memory lane. Sometime last year, October last year, we celebrated our independence. We celebrated 40 years of independence. There was much pomp and splendor about the patriotism of being a Vinci, etc., etc. Now, 40 years ago, in 1979, when we became independent, the government of the day was the Labour Party. The Labour Party was in power. And before that, even before independence, they were in power. And as a youngster, I could remember there was demonstrations and so on against the Labour Party because of some of the ills at the time. There was the draconian bills. There was the misbehavior in public, fellas like Arthur Williams and Isaacs, etc., etc., etc. During that time, there was increase in taxes. There was suppression of poor people in this country. The Black Power movement was discriminated against. I remember there was public beating. I saw myself where men like Patches and Jim Maloney suffered under these people. Police brutality was at its highest. And that was Labour. And the people at the time, I remember marching out, and I am a youngster, and my grandmother taking me out and so on, and we marching and so on. There was tear gassing of teachers. That was Labour Party. That was way back then. And people, after a time, the people decided that enough is enough. And guess what? The country was ripe for change at that time. And a politician named James Mitchell, he called himself a fisherman, also a fisher of men. He came along with an unknown cast and one politician called John Hahn with a song called Hahn for Them. And in 1984, they swept the polls and in came the New Democratic Party. And I will tell you, from that 1984, St. Vincent saw its best days. The economy was transformed. The country took a different turn. People eat the best bread up to that point, as I could remember. I remember Mitchell had he had this slang. There was a song crafted, "Back to the Land." And we were singing "Back to the Land, Back to the Land," because Mitchell saw, and the New Democratic saw, that agriculture was the way forward for prosperity and food security for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. There was land acquisition under the New Democratic Party. They acquired the lands from Orange Hill, the Hadley's Estate, the Bernards, Peter Sobe Estate, the Diamond Estate. I remember the setting up of the Diamond Dairy. I remember Box Juice and Box Milk and so on. Those were under the New Democratic Party. That was a government with vision. And that was a leader who saw that the way forward was making sure that employment and people got money and so on, and that was through agriculture. There was a new drive in the banana industry. There was new technology and so on, and the banana industry took off. Banana was dubbed as green gold. And St. Vincent economy benefited from banana. Farmers became kings. Farmers had money, they sent the children to prestigious schools through banana, and that was the vision for agriculture by a New Democratic Party led by Mr. James Mitchell. I remember shipment in those days used to be 2 days. Outside this office here, which is now this office, banana truck used to line here from the wharf, pass all the way past Silky up there. Man could have lime in the country on a shipment night and know you're catching a banana truck for go country or for come back down. And ain't worry. Because such was the emphasis in agriculture. The New Democratic Party took the people and this country to heart so much that they fixed all the feeder roads, they fixed every road in this country, they provide feeder roads. Every village, they made footpaths, the people called them Guti track at the time, footpath and tracks and drainage, and all these things were given attention to. Every village, every constituency, every community was touched by the New Democratic Party. There were permanent road gangs. I remember road gangs, walking in a road gang wasn't like when Christmas come around, you get 8 days and you have to dress up in a red or whatever for that job. It was a permanent thing because the government of the day realized that you can only build an economy if you provide permanent employment for the small man. Because you have to build an economy from down up. Yes. And that was the order of the day. Good salaries and wages were paid. And Mitchell did not concentrate only on agriculture. He established the cruise ship boat. He established the container port so that there could be a drive in tourism as well. Yeah, things like the administrative building and so on, that was under James Mitchell. And St. Vincent enjoyed some good times. But guess what? All good things come to an end. And we the people, we cried for change. And we put in place a ULP government. And immediately, on arrival, history repeated itself. Because we are now back to where we were. Right now, there's pain, there's disappointment, there's anguish, despair, poverty, unemployment, crime situation has plummeted, increase in taxation, the introduction of VAT at 16%, an increase in custom service charge. I listened and had some days ago on the radio about debt announcement. It says you are charged such and such plus VAT. So they're taxing the debt and all. That's where we are now. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a change. We can't continue after 20 years with there no look and no hope of any future with this same administration. I think it's time for change. Why should you vote the New Democratic Party? Because our New Democratic Party would focus on job creation. They would put money in the pocket of the small man. They would fix the economy. They would bring back the middle class. They would fix the health system so that top-of-the-line health facilities, well-staffed, so that when you go down there, you won't have to sit down and wait. They would lower VAT, lower electricity. Your fuel consumption will not be more than, your fuel surcharge will not be more than your consumption. They will tackle crime head on. They will heal the political divide. And they will make you proud again to be a Vincentian. Ladies and gentlemen, the choice is clear. When election, vote for a New Democratic Party. Vote for change. One nation, one people, one St. Vincent and the Grenadines. God bless you and thank you.